Okay, so let's jump right in. Today, we're going to talk about a totally different way to look at the markets. I mean, forget trying to predict what's going to happen next. What if we could treat the market not as a game of prediction, but as a problem of pure engineering?
And that really all boils down to this one big question. A question that flips a core belief most investors have on its head. We're always taught to run from risk, to avoid uncertainty at all costs. But what if we could actually harness all that chaos?
Now, to really get why this is such a big shift, we first have to understand the way things are now, the lens through which pretty much everyone sees the world of investing. It's a world built on a really simple, familiar story. You know, when we look at a performance chart, what do we see? We see a story of good decisions and bad ones. It's basically a scoreboard of our wins and losses, right? It's a direct result of our skill, or, let's be honest, maybe just our luck. It's a very reactive way of looking at things.
But what if that whole interpretation is just missing the point entirely? What if all those peaks and valleys on the chart, what if they aren't just noise we have to put up with? This is where the whole paradigm starts to shift.
And this is where the two worldviews just completely split apart. On one side, you have the conventional view, which sees all that market randomness and just tries to batten down the hatches and survive it. But the structural view, it's totally different. It doesn't even see individual trades. It sees a system design that's built to actually use that randomness. It's a move from reacting to chaos to engineering a system that literally feeds on it.
So what's the secret sauce here? Well, according to the source material, it's a powerful mathematical concept called convexity. Think of it like a trampoline. The more energy you put in, the more chaos, the more jumping up and down, the higher you fly. With a system built on convexity, market volatility isn't something you're afraid of. It's the very fuel that drives growth. It turns time and uncertainty into your biggest allies.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool in theory, but how does it actually work? Well, the answer is in totally redefining what we mean by compounding. It's not just about earning interest on your interest anymore. And you can really see the difference here. On one hand, you've got traditional compounding. That's just simple arithmetic, right? You compound your inputs. But on the other side, you have what this philosophy calls wealth compounding. This is different. It's accelerated. It's not a straight line. And it compounds outcomes. And here's the real kicker. It's designed to grow because of volatility, not in spite of it. So, here's the bottom line. According to this way of thinking, these two things are fundamentally different animals. One is basically an accounting function. But the other one, this accelerated wealth compounding, that's an engineering function. And its entire foundation is built on convexity. You know, there's a quote from the research team behind this whole model that just sums it all up perfectly. They're not trying to be better fortune tellers. They're trying to be better architects. They're building the curve itself and using what everyone else just sees as random noise as their power source. All right, so this isn't just some abstract theory. The source argues that when you build a system this way, it leaves behind a very specific and measurable footprint. The whole argument here is that the kind of accelerated, non-linear performance we're talking about, well, it doesn't happen by accident. You can't just chalk it up to a lucky streak. Instead, it leaves behind what they call a measurable signature, a clear pattern that tells you it's the result of an intentional design. And get this, to prove their point, the source claims this exact same signature of acceleration is the engine behind some of the most legendary names in finance. They put their own model, FX212, in the same league as Renaissance Medallion and Berkshire Hathaway. I mean, that's a bold claim for sure, but it just shows how much power this philosophy gives to structure over prediction. So when you boil it all down, you get this fundamental split. You've got almost everyone else out there chasing returns, trying to guess which way the market is going to go. But this model suggests a totally different path. You create your returns by designing a structure that is just naturally set up to profit from movement no matter which direction it goes. So where does all this lead? Well, it leads to a conclusion that frames this whole idea not just as a new strategy, but as a whole new category of investing. The way it's designed to work is by staying inside what it calls a convexity safety envelope. You can kind of think of it like guardrails on a highway. As long as the system is operating within those guardrails, it's always positioned to get a boost from volatility. Inside that zone, the very things that hurt most investors, time and volatility, actually become the drivers for what they call asymmetric growth, which really just means the system is built to capture more of the upside from big swings than it loses on the downside. And that's why the source is so confident when they say this isn't just an idea on paper, it's a real engineered system for structured acceleration. And they boldly call this approach the third path, something set completely apart from all the conventional ways of doing things. Which leaves all of us with one final thought to chew on. After going through this idea of harnessing volatility, it's worth asking yourself, is your own portfolio designed to simply weather the market storms, or is it actually built to turn those storms into fuel? A pretty provocative question to end on.